betrayal and rejection. Emily lived what many considered a perfect life. Married to John for 10 years, she believed they had built a solid relationship based on love and trust. Her heart was pure, and she always made a point to show her affection for him, whether through small daily gestures or encouraging words during difficult times. However, what she didn't know was that behind John's warm smile and seemingly perfect husband persona, he was hiding secrets that would shatter Emily's world. One ordinary day, Emily came home early to surprise her husband. She had prepared a special dinner, as she often did on important occasions, intending to rekindle the happiness of their past. But when she opened the bedroom door, she was met with a scene she could never have imagined. John was in the arms of another woman. The shock was overwhelming. Rather than confront them, Emily quietly left the house, feeling utterly betrayed and abandoned. For weeks, Emily isolated herself, trying to understand how everything had fallen apart so quickly. She mentally replayed every moment of their relationship, searching for signs she might have missed. The pain of the betrayal ran deep, and John's rejection, he didn't even attempt to apologize, only intensified her humiliation. Friends tried to comfort Emily, but the emptiness in her heart seemed impossible to fill. She had built her life around that marriage, and now everything felt meaningless. John's betrayal wasn't just a breach of trust, it was a rejection of everything Emily believed in. For her, love was unconditional, and forgiveness was part of who she was. But now, in this situation, she began to question whether she could forgive someone who had hurt her so deeply. Her soul was wounded, and the feeling of abandonment consumed her day after day. The question that echoed in her mind was, why me? Emily knew she had to make a decision about how to move forward. The marriage she had cherished was over, but the healing process would be long. She still loved John, but love didn't seem enough to overcome the betrayal. The only thing left was her ability to forgive, not for him, but for herself, to find some kind of inner peace, a path to healing. After the initial shock of the betrayal, Emily knew that staying trapped in a cycle of pain and resentment wouldn't lead her anywhere. With a heavy heart, she decided she needed time for herself, away from everything and everyone that reminded her of John. So she left the city and went to a spiritual retreat in the mountains, a place where she could reflect and perhaps find some way to heal her broken heart. Deep down, Emily knew that running away wouldn't solve her problems, but she felt that isolation would give her the strength to understand what to do next. The first few days at the retreat were difficult. Emily was surrounded by people who spoke of peace, gratitude, and forgiveness, but inside she still felt shattered. Each word of encouragement felt like an affront to her pain, and she wondered if she would ever feel the joy that the people around her seemed to exude. The sadness still dominated her, but gradually Emily began to open her heart to the possibility of healing. The quiet walks in the mountains, the soothing sounds of nature, and the moments of meditation started to calm her mind. During one meditation session, Emily was encouraged to think about forgiveness, not as a gift for others, but as an act of liberation for herself. These words had a profound impact on her. For years, she had believed that forgiving meant accepting the actions of those who hurt her, but now she saw forgiveness in a new light, a way to free herself from the burden she carried in her heart. Emily began to realize that, in order to move forward, she needed to forgive John, not because he deserved it, but because she deserved peace. The path to healing, however, wasn't straightforward. Emily faced days when she felt anger, sadness, and even regret for letting John walk away without confronting him about the pain he caused. But at the same time, she knew that these emotions were part of the process. She began to accept that healing didn't mean forgetting what had happened, but rather learning to live with it without allowing the betrayal to define her. Every step Emily took toward forgiveness was a step toward her own emotional freedom. Little by little, Emily started to feel the lightness that came with forgiveness. She still had a long road ahead, but now she was certain that she was on the right path. John's betrayal hadn't destroyed her ability to love, and more importantly, it hadn't destroyed her ability to love herself. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt that peace was within her reach, as long as she continued her journey with faith in herself. An act of compassion, As Emily continued her healing journey, something inside her began to stir. The desire to help others. She realized that, while her pain was immense, there were others around her with equally painful, perhaps even more challenging stories. One day at the retreat, Emily noticed an older woman sitting alone, quietly crying during a meditation session. Something about the woman's expression deeply moved Emily. Without hesitation, she approached and gently asked if she could help in any way. The woman, named Margaret, shared her own story of loss and suffering. She had lost her husband in a tragic accident and had been living with a grief that seemed impossible to overcome. As Emily listened carefully to every word, she recognized the same pain she herself carried. The two women, once strangers, quickly connected through their emotional wounds. Rather than focusing on her own pain, Emily offered her support to Margaret, becoming a source of comfort and strength. This experience was transformative for Emily. Helping Margaret deal with her loss gave her a new perspective on life. She realized that often, by focusing on others, we end up finding the cure for our own wounds. Sharing moments of vulnerability and compassion with Margaret allowed Emily to see beyond her own suffering and understand that pain didn't have to be a prison, but a bridge to something greater. With each conversation they had, Emily felt stronger and more connected to the purpose of helping others. In an act of kindness, Emily decided to donate part of her savings to help Margaret cover the medical expenses she was facing. Though it wasn't a large sum, the act of giving without expecting anything in return brought Emily a sense of lightness she hadn't felt in a long time. That simple act of compassion was like a light in the darkness, showing Emily that, even in the most painful moments, we can still choose the path of generosity and love for others. Helping Margaret not only strengthened Emily, but it also reinforced her belief that forgiveness and love are the keys to true healing. The act of compassion she performed in that moment planted a seed of hope, not only for Margaret but also for herself. Emily began to understand that by giving her best, even in the midst of suffering, she was healing in a way she had never imagined possible. Unexpected reward. After weeks at the retreat, Emily began to feel a subtle change in her heart. She no longer saw herself as the betrayed and rejected woman, but rather as someone who had undergone a profound emotional transformation. One day, while walking through the retreat's gardens, she encountered an elderly man sitting quietly, watching the sunset. His presence exuded a peace that intrigued her. Without hesitation, Emily approached him and, with a shy smile, started a conversation. The man, with eyes that seemed to carry deep wisdom, listened attentively as Emily shared her story of pain and healing. The elderly man, named Henry, spoke few words, but his phrases were powerful. He talked about the importance of letting go of what hurts us and how even in the darkest moments, life has a way of surprising us with unexpected blessings. Before they parted ways, Henry handed Emily a small, ancient coin, telling her to keep it with care. He explained that the coin was special and symbolized the journey she had traveled thus far. Though puzzled, Emily accepted the gift and thanked him for his kindness. A few days later, after returning home, Emily decided to investigate the value of the coin she had received. To her astonishment, she discovered it was a rare relic of immense value. The coin was worth a fortune, something she could never have anticipated. The initial shock quickly gave way to profound gratitude. Emily wasn't sure what to do with the large sum of money that was now in her hands, but one thing was certain. This unexpected gift was a symbol of everything she had gained emotionally. At first, Emily thought of finding Henry to thank him and share her newfound wealth. However, when she returned to the spiritual retreat, she learned that the man had left shortly after their last conversation. No one knew where he had gone or how to reach him. Emily was intrigued, but she also felt that the experience was more than a coincidence. It was as if life, or something divine, was returning to her, in a material form, what she had lost emotionally. The unexpected reward wasn't just the fortune the coin represented, but the certainty that by choosing forgiveness and generosity, Emily had opened the door for extraordinary blessings to enter her life. Henry's gift was a reminder that, even when everything seems lost, the universe, or something greater, is always watching our actions and intentions. Emily now felt ready for the next chapter in her life. A divine message. Even with the unexpected fortune in hand, Emily felt that something was still missing. The rare coin had changed her life materially, but the real treasure she sought was inner peace. Moved by gratitude and the desire to give back, Emily returned to the spiritual retreat in hopes of finding some clue about the elderly man, Henry. She wanted to thank him personally and share with him the wealth she now possessed. However, everyone at the retreat seemed unaware of Henry's whereabouts. The thought that she might never find him left her feeling unsettled. During her search, Emily found a note left in the cabin where Henry had stayed. The paper was carefully folded, with her name written on it. When she opened the note, Emily read a simple yet powerful message. "Everything you planted with love, you reaped in abundance. Continue on the path of kindness and compassion, for that is the true wealth." Signed, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Tears streamed down Emily's face. Those words, though brief, touched her soul deeply. The message made Emily reflect on her entire journey up to that point. From the betrayal that had shattered her to the acts of compassion she had performed, everything now made sense. She understood that forgiveness wasn't just a choice, but a path that connected her to something far greater than herself. By helping Margaret and forgiving John, Emily had planted seeds of kindness that blossomed into unexpected blessings. The coin she received was merely a material symbol of the true wealth she carried in her heart. Emily didn't know whether the message had truly been left by Henry or if it was a divine sign. But in that moment, it didn't matter. What truly mattered was the transformation that had taken place within her. She no longer needed answers because she had found the peace she had been searching for. Forgiveness had healed her wounds, and the kindness she had sown along her journey had returned to her in ways she never imagined. With a heart full of gratitude and peace, Emily decided to use part of her fortune to help others, just as she had helped Margaret. She knew her mission now was to continue spreading love and compassion, for that was the true reward in life. And so Emily began a new chapter, knowing that the kindness we plant is always rewarded, whether in this life or in eternity.